Let me say good morning. Let me say good morning once again to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Those of you viewing GBN TV, welcome. Those of you by our social media platforms, let me say good morning to you also. And welcome, whether the Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning. What about GBN's webpage? Good morning to you also. It's to the point, it's Monday, the 7th day of October.
What date
2020. Is it 7 there?
Already?
Yeah. Because last week we were saying, hey, welcome to October. Now we're the 7th. Mr. Mac, how you doing this morning, sir?
I am very good, thank you. So you didn't say good morning to me.
Well, you know.
I stepped in, so you didn't say good morning.
Someone told me that you didn't tell me good morning, but I know it's morning. Anyway, so good morning to you, sir. Welcome. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, and thank you. Once again, I know you did it, but let me personally say thank you and hello, good morning to everyone, our followers, our listeners, our viewers, our contributors to the program, people who make it happen, and the people who tune in every time. They don't go anywhere else. They don't do anything else. They schedule themselves to be there, and we appreciate that.
Yes, we do appreciate that a lot.
Here we are, looking forward for a wonderful program as usual.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week for me. Road users in general.
Yes.
Accidents. Someone lost their life.
Yeah.
You know, it's like every week we hear something different. Some weeks they're not the level of fatalities in it, but some weeks there are fatalities involved. And when you look at it again, Mr. McIntyre, speeding,
right?
The main culprit in most accidents here on island.
Yeah.
The main culprit for most accidents. And it's also, I sometimes when I do the program, I also tell folks on mornings, try to drive along with that due care and attention.
Right.
You understand? Look out for other road users as much as you want them to look out for you. You know, if everybody looks out for each other, it might be an accident-free grenade, probably.
Yes.
It's probably an accident.
It
can get to the point where I'm driving out, but I'm looking out for that other driver coming along. So, and the other driver is looking out for me, which means we are protecting each other to a point.
Right.
You know, which could lead to less fatalities, but folks are more focused on what they're doing and minimal distractions. Distractions is also one of the order of the day when folks are driving. That cell phone, I'm still seeing, even though we have a law that says folks should not be using their cell phones when they're driving, and I'm still seeing it happening a whole lot, sir.
Right.
For some reason. I'm not sure if the authority or the police or the traffic department need to revamp of course the urgency of it again.
Right.
Because I'm seeing a lot of folks driving with that cell phone in there. Even though today modern vehicles come out where you have the
Bluetooth
the radios that could accept your calls via the Bluetooth, and you could just drive along, paying attention, but you're speaking and driving. You understand? You're not distracted by having to hold it in your ear or stuff like that.
But even a conversation could be distracting based on what the nature of it is.
Course,
so you want to
avoid it totally.
As
but
much
if you
as
have
could.
to, pull up on the side, make sure it's a clear path wherever you're pulling up, and have your conversation, and then you move on if it's possible. You understand? Or if you have to answer it, we'll tell the individual, let me call you back in a matter of minutes. I'm getting to my workplace, so I'm getting home.
Yes.
And I'll call you back, because that seemed the most of the other day, David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think you started off right in terms of the general safety issue and accidents and road fatalities. My week was a mixed one. I had a feeling of sadness and happiness, maybe a cold and hot, and I think the reality of my loss came ever so often. It usually come. And when it comes, I want to be happy, and yet I'm sad. I want to be sad, and I still want to be happy. And so during the course of last week, I had that very heavy feeling, and so on. I couldn't explain it. And so the reality is that I consider myself one with a purpose. And I said my whole life mission is about people and helping. And I just think that my coping mechanism and my ability to be able to rise above adversities and so forth gives strength to other people. And so because I've been going through those dark and heavy moments and so on, and being able to come through, I think it's a sense of saying to other people, regardless of what you have gone through, what you're expected to meet in life, there's always some way to come through it.
Yeah.
And you have to live with that sense.
Silver lining as well.
Yes. You have to give your sense of speak to your inner self. I had a conversation, I did a guest lecture at the TAMCC with some youngsters, business guys, and auto mechanics, etc. And I was saying to them, one of the things I said to them in terms of the threat to what they aspire to be spiritual devotions and all that, and your sense of connectivity with a being wherever you think that or thing or person may be. There's some sense of wanting to get in touch with a being other than the physical, and being in an environment other than the immediate where you are. So you focus on the positive and some sense of aspiration that there is a help somewhere. And that help generally, in my opinion, comes from God. And I try to find that sense of resolve every time I feel that deep sense of loss and everything else, depression. You want to find that way of coming through. And I remember saying on the program, there was one time when I had a very, very negative thought, and because early on in my life, I spoke positive and I said, regardless of where life take you, you're going to be good to yourself. And just speak that positive and go back to it. So in that moment when something just come to you and say, no, there's good reason why you should be alive. There's good reason why you are of help to somebody. So many people look up to you. Some people look daily for your program. They look toward you as an individual. They emulate you. And so they look to you as a model, as an icon in many ways. So you can be different. Yeah. You just have to be up for it. And you have to also say when you face a situation that is very deep, that it will not always be the same. And you always look at one day at a time, one moment at a time, one thing at a time, and let us look towards the time when that moment too will come to pass. And this has been my way of dealing with this situation, being positive, being always looking forward, that this period will come to and you're right into the next one positively. And that's really cool. And during the course of the week, I had to find that inner strength of riding from the dark, the deep, the heavy, into looking at the light, the lighter, the positive, and the better. You know? So I just thought I had to bring this up because I think people need to be able to take some... People have been losing loved ones. Yeah. They have been losing sentimental things. They've been having difficult situation that they have to go through. There are times when people lose their jobs, they lose the finances, they may have lost their car. People have had accidents. They've had burial to deal with, and I empathize with the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique and to the parts of Grenada that were decimated and so forth. And we tend to sometimes forget that these people are still recovering. And we see things around us, it seems to be normal, that life seems to be going on, but deep inside, you see them smile, but you don't know what they feel inside. And so it is saying to us generally as a people, we need to still reach out to the people around us. Even the people who might be meeting in accidents, may have road rage or other things, they need some help. And so they need counseling, and they need somebody else to say to them, oh, why are you getting on this way? You could do it differently. And so when they go low, you go high. When they go high, you go low, so that you can really appease the situation. Because you see people from day to day, and they might be weapons of mass destruction, or they could be just little weapons driving around, because they might be going through so much. And it could be just somebody that you see, and just the next moment you don't hear them. So my thing is, let us always find a way of reaching out to somebody else, find out how they're doing, give them something positive. And for those of you who are going through those deep, dark, and heavy moments, just tell yourself that there's light at the tunnel, even if you can't see it, but just aspire that there's something different that will happen.
Yeah, and I like what you say, because there's always individuals who are going through that show that smile on their face.
Yes,
and
course.
have that deep down, they're hurting inside for some reason or the other, but for some reason we never pick it up until maybe it's too late. And they may have those thoughts that may want to commit suicides and all of these things.
Yes,
you understand?
It happened.
And sometimes you hear individuals come, but you say, well, I know Mr. Mac, I never thought Mr. Mac would be thinking such a thought. Or I know GT and I never thought you'd be thinking such thoughts. But sometimes you don't know the individuals' inner feelings.
Yes.
And they may come to work every day, show that smile on their face, converse with you.
Yeah.
When in a really good conversation. But you never know. Sometimes sometimes they wish you as the individual they're talking could switch that conversation to where that conversation come up and it relates to what's going on with them.
Yes. And so we lose the sense of sometimes personal interaction and socialization. I was speaking again about how our previous generation. I saw myself. I said, well, I'm not a very old guy, but if I match up a younger guy who's in his 20s against me, and I said, just cover my head, let's back to back. And let's say somebody look at us could they tell whether this is a 60+ guy and you are 20+? Because, I mean, we adult together. And I look at the transition in terms of where our society came from, and how the younger generation, how they deal with technology, and the thing that they seem to enjoy.
A lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I look at the music. I just to say again, GT, that my daughter celebrated 18.
Yes.
That was big for her. She had a nice celebration again on Saturday, which our teenagers brought together. And I said, the young people, I listened to the kind of music, and I said, what do you guys get from that? And they said, it's a kind of vibe. I said, you guys are just then, you just shake your head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding, well, there's little physical interaction. I understand now there's the music that you have, and all you do, there are people there on the phone in a session. They look at the phone, and everybody just shaking their head to music. And then there's a silent party where you have your headphone in your head, and there are about 3 or 4 different channels, and you're listening to the music differently, and you're dancing. No one else hearing what you're dancing, but you're having a session. I'm saying,
crazy world, eh?
It's a really crazy world. And how do we mesh the former with the current? And we're saying that it's a situation now where we have to learn to coexist with the young people.
But there's still no comparison, eh?
Understand what
the comparison is way off. It's way off.
And I would not trade the past for the current, but I think they would not want to go into the past because they think that our life was boring, and we think our life was very interesting. And so because we are the older young people, or the younger old people, we are able to match up. I don't think they have a lot to compare, but we can compare what they're having and what they feel. And I also think that the physical interaction has so much more benefit than just the electronics. The electronics, in my opinion...
I'm all for the new world, eh?
Yeah.
I'm all for the new world and the new gadgets and everything. I like to see how it has made life easier for a lot of us.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, a lot of things now has made life... Just the whole setting of how we do radio and television and everything.
Right.
Compared to the older days.
Right.
You understand? So technology has made life different.
Yes.
But sometimes the manner in which it's put into use...
But it has made life even more dangerous.
It has made life even more dangerous.
And even less healthy.
Concerns about it, how it has made
because
life.
if you're exposed too often to the electronics and the gadgets, the aspect of radiations and all of those other things that can filter itself, even the atmosphere within which you walk, how healthy is that? To me, still is a mixture of both.
Yeah.
But I also think that connecting with nature, the physical, is best.
I agree with you. And it goes back to even the food we eat right also now.
Right.
Can't raise the comparisons.
You don't want to go there with the food?
We don't want to go there with the food.
Right.
Anyway, Mac, we're due for our first break in the program.
And
before we go, I wanted to touch on this. We probably can touch on it when I come back. We did it. It's out to do it. I had someone met me the other day and had a conversation. He said, I'm always trying to call in and explain to you guys in relations to bus stops.
Right.
And its proper use.
Okay.
The location of some of these bus stops.
Okay.
To where they at. He also talks about, pedestrian crossings.
Okay.
Their location, in his mind, and maybe I could post it, I could tell you, maybe you could give me your thoughts about it.
Right.
Where it's located and should it actually be there?
Okay.
You understand? When we come back after the break.
Great.
Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Much more when we come back. Don't touch it out.
Ever wondered how Grenada can reduce its food import bill? What steps are we taking towards self-sufficiency? Join us this Monday on Beyond the Headlines as we dive deep into Grenada's ambitious plan for food self-sufficiency. What challenges do we face in achieving this goal? What innovations are on the horizon? Don't miss this enlightening discussion that impacts us all. Tune in to Beyond the Headlines this Monday at 8:30 p.m. Your questions matter. Join the conversation by calling 440-1252. Let's explore the future of food in Grenada together. Beyond the Headlines, 8:30 p.m. on Monday.
Coming up, a food odyssey like no other. Getting the most out of cruising. St. Lucia's Peaks, boosted businesses. Serving up the best, a great place to rest. Another take on shrimp. It's all next on this station.
as Grenada grapples with the devastation of Hurricane Beryl. Season 3 of GBN's Our Climate Reality program is focusing on the impact of climate change on small island developing states. Join us on GBN Television, K105 FM, and our Facebook page and YouTube channel for Season 3 of Our Climate Reality, Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Compliments, Grenada Paper Products, and Classic Lighting.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point. Classic Radio, GBN TV. Go our listeners and viewers around the world. Good morning, especially those of our social media platforms. Good morning to you once again. Mr. McIntyre, welcome back. So as I was mentioning, as I mentioned, I should say, before the break, I was talking about bus stops and the proper use of it.
Yeah.
Now, someone has spoken to me just a couple of days, and he was saying, hey, he's concerned about the proper use of it, where bus stop is, and why individuals who should be using that bus stop is not using it.
Right.
How could that be taken care of?
Yeah.
For example, in the River Road area, there's a bus stop just after the Humpback Bridge.
Right.
But people are standing on the Humpback Bridge waiting for the bus there.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So people gather in there waiting for a bus where there's a bus stop for them. So the bus now buses will pull up and picking people up on umbrella, which causing an obstruction of the traffic.
Right.
What's your take on that?
Right. So I know exactly what my take would be on it, but we want to remind our listeners and followers that we give them an opportunity more to interact with us.
Yes, you have that opportunity this morning, so you can call in as we go along.
Absolutely, we're going to give them more time for that. And actually, pedestrian crossings, footpath, sidewalks, and these kind of things, they happen to be coming up, and that was part of the aspect of the conversation this morning. So I'm not surprised that you did ask about the bus stop and this person's observation. And this is the kind of thing that we want people to do. When you identify something, you bring it so that we can address it, and hopefully it's going to get acted on quickly. Now, the aspects of bus stop, one of our ardent listeners, followers, contributors to this program has advocated very strongly that there is need for us to be doing proper traffic engineering. It's a science in itself.
Yeah.
And in terms of where bus stops are established, our law speaks to places where bus stops should be and where people should not stop, in terms of distance from corners and other places where you have more urbanized areas and all of that. There's a designation in terms of where you put these down. But outside of that, some bus stops and pedestrian crossings and so forth, and even sidewalks, it boils back to sometimes situational awareness and common sense, the local one. Because there are some things, when you look at them, they may be right according to specification where the law and other thing is concerned, but common sense or otherwise, it don't make good sense.
Okay.
And sometimes this is why our law enforcement officers, they are often flexible in enforcing the law in some circumstances, because they may figure, well, I'm not the one who actually set the bus stop down. And so because I am the first judge on scene, I will use some level of flexibility as to whether or not I would enforce that aspect of it, or I would just warn people off. And we do not have sufficient eyes on the issues to observe and recommend and do rapid corrective measures, and that's one of our weaknesses. And so this situation that you speak about is not unique only to the River Road area. There's a few places across the country where pedestrian crossings or zebra crossings are set up, and you wonder what was the rationale behind that, and whether or not there was a sit-down or consultation, which is a very strong word, sometimes abused or overused. But consultation, you'll always hear it, because the grassroots and the ground people are the ones who sometimes are the users of the product or the area or the facility. They are the ones who will tell you how best it should be utilized. And even if, according to law, otherwise it may say, go this way. Remember, the law is put there by men. Yeah. A few people, legislators, they go there, they sit down, they discuss and think, well, that's the best way to do it. But that could change. And so by advocating, by pressing and raising the issue, we think that definitely, if it doesn't make sense, it creates a risk, or otherwise, then it should be changed. And so this a River Road area that you speak about, the pedestrian crossing and the bus stop, I think it needs some reconsideration. They should really revisit it as to whether or not it makes better sense. And some of the bus stops that we have are places where people get off. The police may not charge somebody for dropping somebody that is not a designated bus stop. And I applaud the police that they may use their best judgment at times, and sometimes they don't always, because there are times when you may see a senior citizen or people moving with a bag or something, and they will say, "Officer, can I just get on the bus here because it's difficult for me to get to the bus stop?" And all right. And they say, "No, you have to get to the bus. Don't time to stop." That's where the common sense and the flexibility and the judgment comes in terms of using a discretion to make a decision, and there's nothing wrong.
But would you,
in that.
but would you also say it has also created a problem?
In that
by
area?
By the flexibility of law, and yes, we understand for the senior citizens and so forth.
Yeah.
But no, it has created a problem where the younger individuals know, well, I'm seeing you dropping Granny here.
Yeah.
Why can't I drop here too? So you see where the problem comes in?
Well, it's now you do as I do. You do what the law says.
But then it becomes a norm now.
Well, it should not really become a norm. If it is a law, if it is against the law, it should be enforced. But the custodians of the law, they do have discretion in enforcing aspects of the law. Not because the law said that if a person violates, you have to arrest them or charge them. The law gives you the ability to make discretion as to whether you should enforce in a particular way. So because you're allowed a senior citizen or someone with a bag to get on, it doesn't mean that it gives somebody else the authority to just do it on their own. If they ask as well, and the officer said, no, you should not, that's the officer's discretion and his right, because that's what the law says.
But if we're not talking in terms of the police now, but I'm talking in terms of road users like drivers, for say, bus drivers and stuff. I'm talking talking about them.
I get your point.
No. So I understand from the law part.
Yeah.
But then the folks who are supposed to be observing the law and making sure that they do the right thing on the roads, they are not the ones that are doing it correctly. You know, from a regular car, individual who drives his car, he can stop anywhere and drop someone off anywhere.
Yeah, but that's not right.
You understand? The bus drivers who should be dropping you off on the bus stop, they are not doing that anymore.
And that's not right.
You understand? And anyway, you knock the bus as we do in Grenada, you feel you should jump off here.
And that isn't right. It's against the law.
Sometimes, as a driver, you see, well, he doesn't realize that he's causing an obstruction some way or the other. And he, sometimes you think if other people are thinking along the same lines with you. I don't expect everybody to think along the same line with you.
Right.
But sometimes it's a clear thought that everybody should have. If I stop here, I'm going to have a 50-car pile up behind me. But they still do it for some reason or the other.
Because the thing about it is that I don't think we are not generally all the same. And sometimes people make decisions and do something and you wonder how they came up with the decisions that they come up with. And you would see people stop in the street and they're holding a conversation side by side, and you would be wondering. I mean, it happened to me as recently as yesterday. Was it this morning? I just pulled up, I just stopped behind a vehicle yesterday evening. And there was this vehicle coming in the opposite direction. There was obstruction on my side going forward. And there was this gentleman and another one coming towards me in my direction. And there was a gentleman standing on the side of the road, and he was in the window of that other vehicle. And they were having a conversation.
And you have to
normal. And I just stopped and I waited. And when they were finished, the one drive past me, he watched me, and the one who was standing here just walked off as nobody's business. So it tells you something how we are cultured and how we view things. It seems to be normal, but obstruction is obstruction. And we maintain in a lot of ways, because sometimes we're not rigorous in our enforcement, that we allow some things to fester and they get too far. And that has been the problem, that has been the breakdown generally. If you understand that, listen, man, if I am caught, if I am seen, the penalty will be X. I don't want to be caught doing that. But then again, we cannot convert everybody, we cannot change anybody overnight. But programs like the ones we are doing and other programs that the RGPF really facilitate are programs and things that we're hoping that people will listen, understand, and that parents will take more responsibility in training up their children, culturing them properly, telling them the do's and don'ts, the rights and the wrong that they should be doing, so that they can grow up to be better citizens. And that's generally one of the things that we really, really have to press. We have to go back to the home. It is difficult to bend the tree while it is old. A lot of things are gone, they've festered already. Let us continue to build with the young people. Let us give them the attention. I mean, I was lecturing to those young people at college, TAMCC, and I was telling them about, as I said, the SWOT analysis and the threat to their aspiration. And I said, in my own experience, I've seen businesses and other things go down because people fail to have taken note of certain things, your physical life, your social life, and so forth. As an individual, as a male and a female, how do you socialize? How do you deal? As a male, do you think you need to have multiple partners? As a female, do you think you need to be overly expensive? Do you need to take money from the cash from the vehicles that you're going to fix and spend on your social or your promiscuous life or otherwise? These things are serious threats to your business and so forth. And are you not going to feed yourself sufficiently or the right thing? Are you not going to give yourself the rest and sleep that you require? Would you just walk and not do your medical checks, etc., and not eat the right thing? That would be a threat to your business. And so that's the kind of a conversation more that should be held in household, telling your children the threats. And as I spoke about the celebration of 18, I'm not one of the advocates for 16 years, because 16 only tell you that you can give consent to sex, which is outrageous. And at 18, you get more autonomy to do certain things. And at 21, you have full autonomy basically to sign off and do things. Yeah. And so we would continue to see that there shouldn't be adulations and pomp and ceremony for age 16. It is something that we don't want to be encouraged and just say, well, give our children the opportunity to aspire to get to age 16. Yeah. We want them to work towards even a more mature stage and age. Let's say 18 as a first start, and then go up to 21. But this 16-year thing, as I saw it,
into a form of adulthood.
As I saw it over a couple, I said, no, we shouldn't really.
All right. To our listeners and viewers, of course, the lines are open already, so it's an only open for the line. If you want to, of course, be part of the conversation we're having this morning, something that we have mentioned that you probably want to add your 2 cents to, as they would say, you feel free to do so. You probably have an idea that you would like to share in terms of road safety. Feel free to do so. You probably have a solution that myself and Mr. McIntyre may have never thought about.
Absolutely. So people are being...
You may offer us a solution to an issue that is taking place. Feel free to do so. 435-2041.
And the lines are going.
And the lines are going. Let's entertain our first caller. Caller, you're live, and good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, sir. Pleasant day to you all.
Caller, would you mind lowering whatever device you have in the background, please? It's causing you a bit of a distraction. It could be the television or the radio. Turn it off completely. You will hear us via the telephone.
Are you hearing me now?
Very well. Go right ahead, please.
Okay. I'm listening to Mr. McIntyre, and I said, Mr. McIntyre was reading my mind. Yesterday, I was looking at the bus. I was driving around and looking at the bus stops. And people are using the bus stop to sit and put their foot where somebody's supposed to sit down. Some of the bus stops are used as if there's some marketplace. When some people, they use a bottle, they leave it right in the bus. I don't know, it hurts my heart. And I wish we could teach our people how to use the bus stops, not than the bus shed then, properly. Just imagine an old woman as me wanted to wait for a bus, and I can't even sit on the bus because the men that climb up, they put their foot on it. We have to teach them that. Perhaps they don't understand. Another thing, the pedestrian crossing by schools, I find it should be a little higher up to the gap or lower down, because the children feel there is a pedestrian crossing there, so they could run out from the school, and that could be very dangerous. So in future, when they're putting the pedestrian crossing, could they put it a little higher up or lower down, so the children know they have to walk out and go down or go up before they cross. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate your contribution. 435-2041. Don't forget you have double options of getting to us on the program this morning via the WhatsApp, which is the same number, 435-2041, or you can call directly 435-2041.
We're hoping, GT, that one of these days, I'm Safer, the Ash McIntyre Safety Foundation for Roads, that we're going to have contact persons throughout the communities across Grenada who would look out for the safety issues, and they would highlight them, and we'd be able to take it forward.
Yeah.
Because I think when people know that they have a platform or somewhere that they can speak of something, that they will do that. So we want to be able to have people across country that are positioned with a responsibility to look out for those issues. And what the caller has just said, that has been some of the observations across. the inappropriate use of our bus stands and sheds and so forth. As she mentioned that some of them are used for vending, strong vending. People selling them and they're unsightly, they urinate in them. And I think we need to create a greater aesthetic for the ambience of even a bus stop, making people feel, you travel in some places and you have these proper built sheds where the seats are really clean. There's a glass on the sides where you can see a bus is coming from the left or right. It's high enough that you can see whether somebody is behind that could harm you or otherwise. So it's nice and clean. You can sit, you can stand and make yourself comfortable. And I think we need to be able to raise our level a bit, and she's absolutely right. Try to teach people and culture them properly to use it. The aspect that she mentioned about the pedestrian cross, it is something that requires not just the Ministry of Works and the police, but it requires a unit that would do the entire traffic study and survey as to looking at placements of road signs, the pedestrian crossing, the speed humps. Like somebody got vexed because a few vehicles passed speeding and they just put up their own speed hump. You know what about that?
I haven't heard.
Yeah, man, people do that. They get some asphalt or they get some concrete and they put down their own humps.
Because they find folks are moving too fast in that particular area.
That's correct. And so even sometimes, otherwise the state authority will do a lot of study. Like, remember there was one on the Calvin Road around a corner sometime?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was, I think, about two on the Calvin, after you pass the Norris James Business Complex going towards St. David's.
Yes.
Around that bend there's a business, somebody that do like bacon, roadside bacon right on that corner. And two humps came up there quickly one night. Man, vehicles were hitting into this thing, whoop, whap, vap. And within, I think, 48 hours, it was removed.
And so somebody did that on their own?
I don't think it was. I think maybe it was because it was properly laid with asphalt and everything.
Okay, the authorities. It had to be. The authorities did that.
That did not make good sense, and it shows that when you're going to do something, that you have to give some consideration, and it makes sense to consult.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller, good morning, you're live.
Hello, good morning, GP, and good morning to you, Mr. McIntyre. Mr. McIntyre, I just want to find out what could we do to help the people that love texting and driving. The texting and driving is so dangerous for people that walk in the street, and perhaps like the people who are doing that, they don't know how dangerous it is. I wonder how could we reach out to these people and them that texting and driving on the main road. Perhaps if it wasn't God's Saturday, I could have been somewhere else just because of texting and driving. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Got you.
So I can tell you very clearly that I know at least there are two officers, community relations and otherwise, who follow our program. They listen to us and they listen to the recommendation and they take some steps. And I'm sure this is one of those that they will listen to. And one of the recommendations would be to increase your programs in terms of the awareness, have more audio visuals, more video, and showing people the danger of the texting and driving. And as I mentioned earlier on, start in the home, telling the children and those who are going to be driving, move to the schools and the colleges where people are getting to their license stage age, to let them know the danger of it. Because the use of phones and gadgets, it's an addiction technically. And whether you're driving or you're home or otherwise, you tend to literally gravitate to it. Yeah. And so you have to be able to keep pointing it and telling people and showing people the danger. And we need to do one thing in addition. Remember you mentioned that one time the cops were speaking about the use of the phones and you heard about it and then it has gone down. Yeah. We don't mention keep these things in people's face often enough.
That's one of the shortfalls, one of the major shortfalls.
Of enforcement and of making people aware. And this is why our program will not die. We're going to continue from different and different angles to keep reminding people of the road safety and the general risk issues that we can come across. So I think when it's not that the cop, they're not doing what they're doing, but the inability sometimes to make us aware of the people who are punished for it. I think that is limited because I know they are doing arrests. I know they are doing charges, but we're not hearing them. And it is easier for you.
Statistics put out in terms of that.
That's correct.
You don't want to say GT and Mr. McIntyre.
Put the statistics. When people get charged for it, let us know. And it is easier for you as a regular civilian and for the call on other people to pick up these problems rather than the police, because people will try to evade and hide from the police rather than hide from GT or anybody else. So it's easier for you to see it as a regular person than for the cop.
Let's get a caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, sirs. Now, as I listen to Brother McIntyre there, it has dawned on me. I do not know what the test for the theory part of the driving. Whatever it is, whatever it comes up, I'm suggesting that it includes some of these measures so that people will be more aware, the people especially who are going to pass the licenses, maybe they could be given some of these things as tests, as part of their driving test. And maybe it could be made more available to the people, because you have driving schools, you have people who bring up others for driving, So maybe these people who teach how to drive would be aware, and it could be emphasized that it should make these young people who are learning to drive stress those things to them, so that we'll have better control on the roads. That's my suggestion.
Thank you, caller. Thank you a whole lot for your contribution this morning.
Thank you.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's good.
Not a bad suggestion.
I'm guilty personally of not giving that close scrutiny to the driver's exam, the theory itself. We want to make some contribution. I know, as I said on one of the programs, that I had a conversation with one of the very senior officers where that is concerned, and they are currently reviewing the practical and the theoretical aspect of the exam to suit our local condition. While the highway code give you a global reach in terms of general traffic, there are some things specific towards that we cannot meet. That context. And even that aspect that the gentleman mentioned, it could be enforced globally in terms of,
We do have another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, and you're live.
Yeah. I just want to ask, is a very, very dark tint in Grenada, is this prohibited, or is because I was in Grenada, I see most cars a lot of cars have very dark tint. You can't see who in the car. I was driving down the road, this guy stopped, he ain't gonna move, he ain't gonna go back, he just pulled just an inch, look at me, and so I just want to know, because this is very dangerous. If you have so much a dark tint, nobody know who's in the car. If anything happens, nobody know who it is. I want to know if this is permitted.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
So I'm not the sole authority on the tin, but I'm aware that the law exists in terms of the grades that people should have. And as a matter of fact, there's a general safety guiding principle in the law that says that your vision should not be obscured generally in driving. So anything that impedes on your vision, your ability to see or otherwise, it's a violation. But I know when tints came out, there were some things that were identified in terms of the regulation that should have guided it. And they kind of held back a little bit, similar to that of the uniforms, the camouflage stuff.
Yes.
Those are two issues that were debated. I'm not too sure where they are now, but whether it is very, very dark or otherwise, there are things that within the view of the officer, if he figures that is an obstruction or could obscure vision, he can take some corrective measure. But I think there is a grade of tint that is permitted. I also understand that there might be some particular vehicles that might be given written permission to, because there are some security concerns or issues where some vehicles would be permitted to have tint at a particular grade.
Let's take another caller. Of course, we due for a break, but we're going to take another caller before the break. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good morning, brother.
Good morning to you.
Mr. McIntyre. Mr. McIntyre, I think I'm in disagreement with you when it comes to the age limit for sex. Yeah? Because I think we as black people, we are not having enough sex. I think the problem is that...
Caller, it's not the sole conversation we're having this morning. It just a side conversation.
I know you made that point, so I'm just trying to, you made that point. I'm looking at the countries like in the Middle East, and you have to ask the question why they fight like that. But they're not scared about dying. Because down there, to have sex, you must be married first. If you don't marry, you can't have sex. So most of the men they are angry. That's why they don't care about leaving. So we need to understand that sex is very important. My second point is that, relating to your topic, is that we need to have government buses in this country. Any developed country must have public bus system. You cannot depend on private bus people to carry people to work and carry them back home on their own fits and fancy. You have in the morning time. People can't get to work on time because most of the buses are filled. Go back home in the evening time, they stop work, they don't work, and they make their money already, so they don't get time for that. On a weekend, on a holiday, there's a bus running. So how can you continue a country or develop a country when every 6 o'clock the country shut down? It's time our lawmakers realize, understand that you ain't got to have plenty buses. There's a number of routes in this country here, from north to south, east to west, you could have running and maintain. And if they do the maths, they can see a serious profit margin from that, because the reason why the buses them stop work early, most of them, that they make enough money to satisfy their needs. So there is space for more buses, because if you make enough money, you're done with that for the day. I mean, come on, there's money to make. There's a number of people on the bus terminal who are working hard for this country. Every day working for this country. I do jump in bus and run for bus, and it's just not looking good. An individual should be able to live at their home comfortable and come back home comfortable. All government need to understand that this is a way to go. Every developed country must have a bus system, and it should be running perfectly, because you have laws in place to govern it.
Thank you, caller.
Have a nice day, brother.
Thank you so much. We have another caller via WhatsApp.
But before you go on, Dojo, before you accept the other caller, we would just like to thank the caller for his contribution, but also to let him know there's serious consideration. I think that will be released sometime soon in terms of the public transport. I think government has some consideration on that. They've been considering that. I've heard it on news. I've heard the discussion that it has been considered. So he's not off, and thanks for the contribution.
All right. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome. And you're live.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Hello? Yes, good morning. Traffic safety. Now, that area, Canash Hill, that retaining wall there, it's really posing a serious threat to the safety of everybody. I don't know if you all observe it, but that wall has some large cracks. And I fear, based on the weight on top there, they have Glen lines, plus they have that building. I frightened that sometime that may just collapse and cause a serious catastrophe in St. George's. Right. The second one, I'm observing vehicles which may not be directly for you, but I've been observing demos being using on weekends and at nights. I know there's some regulations against that. So that's my contribution.
Okay. Thank you, caller, and I appreciate your contribution a whole lot. Did I respond? Because we due for a break.
We're going to... No, I don't want to really respond to it, but I just was concerned about where on Canash Hill that perched.
I want to believe that wall, that's where the traffic light used to be once. Once, I think they have moved a little more up now, but I think that wall way down just before the riser.
Oh, on the right-hand side going up that hill?
I think that's where...
okay, before you swing up onto the right, onto Granite Town Road.
Yeah, I think that's where...
okay.
Yes,
okay, great.
We drew for a break. Let's take that break, and when we come back, we entertain more of your calls. I know the calls are coming pretty quick in this segment, but we drew for a break. Let's take it. We will be right back. Don't touch it out.
Attention!
Have you ever wondered how Grenada can reduce its food import bill? What steps are we taking towards self-sufficiency? Join us this Monday on Beyond the Headlines as we dive deep into Grenada's ambitious plan for food self-sufficiency. What challenges do we face in achieving this goal? What innovations are on the horizon? Don't miss this enlightening discussion that impacts us all. Tune in to Beyond the Headlines this Monday at 8:30 p.m. Your questions matter. Join the conversation conversation by calling 440-1252. Let's explore the future of food in Grenada together. Beyond the Headlines, 8:30 p.m. on Monday.
Coming up, a food odyssey like no other. Getting the most out of cruising. St. Lucia's Peaks, boosted businesses. Serving up the best, a great place to rest. Another take on shrimp. It's all next on this station.
As Grenada grapples with the devastation of Hurricane Beryl, Season 3 of GBN's Our Climate Reality program is focusing on the impact of climate change on small island developing states. Join us on GBN Television, K105 FM, and our Facebook page and YouTube channel for Season 3 of Our Climate Reality, Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Compliments, Grenada Paper Products, and Classic Lighting.
Welcome back once again, listeners and viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Mr. Mack, of course, we know the calls are coming, but we just have one thing we want to talk about. We do have a video, and of course, Master Controller is going to pull it up as we speak about it.
Yes.
In relation, you view it as a bit of a concern to you.
Yes.
So maybe you could start narrating about it, and then Master Control could probably.
Right. There are two pieces in the south of the island. As you come from the food fair going south, as you can see as it has been shown there. As you walk onto that pathway, there are some spaces in between that they're not well spaced. So sometimes you feel that your foot is going to go down there. Mm-hmm. And then there's another portion entering the Camahon Park where we spoke about that flare or that sort of a skirting on that we thought like you could expand a little bit. Yeah. But I just want to show the public the aspect that comes from the food fair direction. Rather than on the opposite side. Mm-hmm. But as you step down from that footpath, it is broken. If you stepping down there in the night, somebody can really damage their foot. Mm-hmm. Look at that. You walk up there, the edge is eroded, and I think they should really have this paved a little bit, and you can create a step down so as people get off from that footpath, you can just walk smoothly down safely onto the side going towards the Antillian insurance building on that side.
And that's been there for a while. A pretty long time.
For a while.
Pretty long time.
And we saw, as we spoke about that widening of the entrance to the Camahon Park, we saw what happened there a couple of days ago with the flood, etc. Yeah. While there's a little walkway with a little rail further down, but people don't always go down there. As you enter in the Camahon area, if it is flooded or otherwise, there isn't enough walking space as you get in there. So we thought that they stopped that walk right there. They could have expanded a bit on that. So we thought, speaking about it a couple of months ago, that by now they could have put a few more pieces of slabs in that area to widen it a little bit. So while the vehicles are in motion, people continue to walk. So because that little walkway that you see further south of it, people don't often use it because it doesn't really give you a consistent walk from off that gap straight into that little walkway. So we think that those are two areas that they should really give some attention to.
Okay. And let's go back to our callers. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, and you're live. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning. Good morning to you guys. Mr. McIntyre, do you think we need some more crash barriers in many places in Grenada?
Easy answer.
Easy answer, okay. And can we start using some of our local products as crash barriers?
Oh, so absolutely.
For example, we have bamboo. Bamboo would make the cost 20% approximately cheaper than using steel. And in other developed countries like India, on highways, they are considering using bamboo as crash barriers.
Or is it really a crash barrier? It gives you a sense, in my opinion, of a false sense of security, because a bamboo would not keep a vehicle from running off. It just gives a sense of where the edge of the road, in my opinion, is. It gives you a sense that you should not veer off, but if a vehicle really run off, I don't think you get a lot of resistance from bamboo. Just my take.
Well, if we examine the tensile strength of bamboo as compared to steel, we'll be amazed. I think that's one of the things that we need to look at.
Right.
The tensile strength of bamboo compared to steel is very, very good. We don't realize how strong bamboo is. So it's probably one thing that we need to look at, because it will lower our cost by 20%, then it provides some protection.
I don't know, you get the percentage, but that's cool. I think it's already good.
I'm saying 20% because if you read information from elsewhere, you realize that out of India, the people there are not crazy. They're thinking of using it on highways, and you're not talking about speeds of 25 and 40 miles an hour. So they can be crazy people. So it's something that we probably need to look at. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Caller, good morning, and you're live.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, caller. You're live. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning. To you, GT, and Mr. McIntyre. This is the first time I've ever called in a radio program. I think it's important for me to make this point, because I heard it mentioned earlier, and it's something I wanted to address a while back. Grenada has an issue, a problem of discipline. And people, we have there is a sickness probably that you could say is own thingism. People just want to do their own thing, right? So we have to bring discipline back into the whole question of driving, and we have to relook our approach to the examination and that kind of thing. What happens now is that we go to the Inland Revenue, we present our word paper, whatever. In any case, you get your driver's permit, right? Your permit to drive, you go on the road. You're doing the theory at any point in time that you want to do it. And to me, that is wrong. Driving should be our approach to driving should be that of a skill, a discipline, just as when you go to carpentry school or medicine, right? There's certain principles, and theory must be the first thing that we do. We could actually have a department in TAMCC where you want to go and do your driving. You apply, you go through a theoretical 4-week or whatever 3-week, 2-week theoretical session that explains all the do's and don'ts about driving. Why you do it, in short, why do you, for example, give a signal before you move off? There's a science behind everything, and people must understand that science. So then that is explained. At the end of it, you could even have what you call simulation. You could do as part of that whole theory thing, right? Then only then that you go to Louis or Grand driving school or whatever. When you have a certificate stating that you have successfully completed that theory, is important because people all they want to do is drive, and it's important to have a theoretical background and understanding of what we do, why we do it, and all the rules surrounding the whole driving thing. And that, in my view, would cut the incidences of accidents and all that, by a big margin. So I think we really need to relook the whole stance and the whole question and discipline of driving. People in discipline is essentially good. Sometimes I don't want to get into politics, but essentially I call it state-sponsored own thingism. Over the years, people have just, you stop on Market Hill and you drop people, and the bus stop and you pick up people, and it was cool. Over the years, it has been encouraged. I even heard politicians actually say, well, look, the economy bad because they didn't see young people rum shop drinking rum and enjoying themselves. We need to get this thing right, and we need to to have a scientific and a disciplined approach. We have to bring discipline back into the society. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, caller. And interesting contribution there from the caller.
Yes.
Makes a whole lot of sense.
I gleaned something from it that can give an idea, maybe as we spoke about institutionalizing the whole safety of driving. Maybe TAMCC could be considered because they are one of the places where you get closer to the age of licensing.
Yeah.
Maybe there could be a program at the TAMCC where people can get merits, they can get points.
Yeah.
If they go through an aspect of it, it could be accredited or give some credits through TAMCC. That when you go into the theory, because you would have done that course within there, you get like about a 20 points on your theoretical or otherwise entering the exam.
Okay, good.
So maybe they can, that's an aspect that could encourage.
We have a caller via WhatsApp. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning, and you're live.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you. Go right ahead.
My contribution towards especially the bus drivers. I think there is association, bus drivers association, and I think if they does it, I don't know, but they should have a different period of workshop on how the bus drivers supposed to dress themselves, probably the kind of music they play in the bus, the discipline of the conductor and the drivers, and also in that workshop you come out with a certificate, because you will see a driver drive for a couple of years, and because he reaches the stage where he could be a bus driver, he gone driving bus. No discipline, no proper way of conducting himself with the passengers, and they're all things that is my bus, so I could do what I want. But you are serving the public, and you have to make yourself presentable enough that the public should accept you. And you also have to have the discipline that you know that you are driving the public, and there are certain things that you have to do. And thank you for...
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Appreciate your contribution this morning.
There are previous contributions where that is concerned, where people think that there should be a sort of a dress code, not that you put people in a straight jacket, but there are some people, when you offer yourself a public service, there should be some standards.
Okay.
Not just a code, but there should be some standards for being in service. The quality of your vehicle and your approach and so on, even your hygiene is critical. I mean, it may impact on your business if you don't look good, you don't smell good or otherwise, but if there's no standard nationally or otherwise, everything obtains. And I think what the caller is saying here, that we should have it.
Certainly have a lot of relevance there.
Yes.
Let's take our final caller. Caller, good morning, and you're live.
Morning, Mr. McIntyre.
Yeah.
Morning, Mr. McIntyre and Mr. GT.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
McIntyre and Mr. GT, I think they should take driving in school. Start driving from school, because all young people don't want to drive. So I think they should take it from school, teaching them from school, make it as a subject in school about driving. It's very important, because all the young people don't want to drive. So I think that's what they should be doing now. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your contribution, caller. Thank you a lot, folks.
And not just drive. Not just drive, but safe driving. Yeah, because you could just drive. But we want the focus to be on safe driving.
I like the idea from one of the callers where you instituted the idea of, that theoretical part of the exam.
Yes.
A process of it should be done. Not just you getting the highway code and whatever they give you to with the questionnaire, and you revise that and you go do the exam.
Yes.
But there should be a theoretical which you go in in class.
Yes.
And really educate yourself about the process of driving, the real theoretical part of it.
Yes.
And then you go do the exam. It's just like you go to school to do any exam. I think you should have that process where you go and someone really speaks to you about the theoretical part of the exam, and then you go do it.
Yeah. So maybe through our driving schools we can do that. Or maybe the authority could consider, as I said, having it through the institution of the TAMCC, so that there are students who get to that age who really want to go drive. There's the aspect of the safety and the whole mechanics of how the vehicle operates and all that.
Yeah.
And they do a theoretical exam. It is assessed by somebody. There's one or two tutors who are been tested, assessed, evaluated, to be able to assess and give the credits. And so when they go to present that, those persons going up to the police, they can go with a certificate or so the credits and say, well, I've successfully completed that aspect. So they get maybe at 20 or 25 points out of the general exam that the police.
If you have a 50, if it's 100%, you may get another 25%. The other 75%.
You come with that
from that.
And it may give you a greater pitch, because the people then who already come pre with that, they may top the exams because they already probably would have been through.
And maybe get a lot more safer driving.
And we get probably safer driving.
I'm seeing some questions before we take a wrap. I'm sorry we'll not be able to accommodate any more calls because we're already a bit out of time. We're a minute already. Someone is saying, my concern is about the loud horns on buses because does the law speak about the importation, installation, the use of amplified horns, and why isn't the law enforced? Then, of course, the noise pollution is so obvious throughout the island. I guess that person is speaking about the loud horns that we hear or the air horns we hear on buses these days. There's another question. There's another comment here been posted also. Morning. Can we all have a system in place where the law must be enforced all over the country is only in tongue?
We've been saying that in the program.
We've been saying that already.
Okay.
We said that already. Mr. Back, that's what we take a wrap for today's program.
Yes,
Interesting
please.
program this morning. I know there are lots more calls coming in, but we're sorry we're not able to accommodate more because of time.
Right.
But next week we'll probably have a similar program if it's possible.
Absolutely.
Anything in closing, sir?
So we'd advise as we face global changes that can impact road safety or otherwise, and the general risk of things that can happen, let's be mindful that we must be in tune with what's happening around us and globally. There is a threat right now. For the last 3 decades and so, it is now registered that our rivers globally have not had the amount of water that they've had before. It's the reality of climate change, climate variability. We must be in tune with it, and we must do things to maintain our humidity within the atmosphere and otherwise, and within our own cells, the water and other conditions would be the thing that we need to be mindful of.
Right.
And as we peak the hurricane season, October we did predict we're going to have some rains. Be cautious, be careful, and safety on our roads, safety in our homes, and safety in general.
All right. Hey, folks, that's how we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. I want to thank all who contributed towards today's program. Thank you so much. Join us again next week, Monday. Usually myself and Mr. Ken McIntyre is here on Mondays for a particular program of this nature every Monday. Until then, folks, have yourself a good one. That's where we say goodbye.